Morning. Thanks for attending. Of course, we are a public company. I need to show you our disclaimer. So this is a pleasure to be with you today. We're talking about Reunion Gold. I would say, not necessarily bragging, that we've made one of the best discoveries of the year. And we're very proud of it. It's a fruit of systematic and persistent work in this part of the world, the Guiana Shield, and we call it Oko West. It's in Guyana. And we have outlined a footprint of 2.5 kilometers of gold mineralization. And we've drilled and demonstrated it to be down to 575 meters at depth. So we're looking at elephant that we need to fully define its size, its quality. We are on a trend which is 6 kilometers long, so we have a lot of room to grow. And it's for once a discovery from scratch. For once we're not drilling under some artisanal pit in which somebody has mined gold artisanally. And we found it with very basic techniques, taking soil samples on the ground over an area we thought had good potential, and followed that up with trenching and drilling. And so we have a good grade profile. We're averaging from our sampling of drill hole between 175 and 2 grams per ton. We have good initial metallurgical work. It's a free digging. Of course, we're looking at the Amazon jungle. All the rocks are weathered to considerable depth, so they are virtually free digging and almost free milling. So very good for payback and initial cash flow. We are fortunate to be in a strong cash position. We have $49 million in the bank, and we have strong support from our shareholders. And we are accelerating our drill program to deliver resources next year to 6 rigs. Right now, we have a drilling capacity of 7,000 meters per month. Just drilling across almost the city of Frankfurt every month in terms of length of drilling that we're able to do. And we have enough money, of course, to deliver results. We're giving our drilling program. Of course, we work in stages, and we have enough funds to drill at that rate if we want, plus all the studies that need to be done up to the end of next year. And of course, we are in Guyana. Some of you know Guyana. It's what could be called a mining-friendly jurisdiction. Each project in Guyana is the product, each mine is a product of a contract signed with the government. Several of these contracts have been signed. The government never reneged on any of these agreements, even if they didn't like it from the previous government. But all these agreements have been respected. And we have a strong team. We know how to operate in these conditions. Dave Fennell, our chairman, and myself, we worked extensively in the region in the 90s. We made discoveries. We participated in the development at least 2 major mines, Omai and Rosebel, etc. So we know how to get things done, and so we're happy to continue that work. This is the glimpse of the Guiana Shield. All the green patches that we call greenstone belts, typical of shield areas of the world, in Brazil, in Abitibi areas of Canada, West Africa, Western Australia. The larger proportion of green, so-called greenstones, volcanic sedimentary rocks you have, the higher probability of finding orogenic type gold deposits. And that's certainly the case here. We have Northwest Guyana with a large volume of greenstones and several deposits to demonstrate its endowment, Eastern Suriname, and North and South French Guiana. So we're going to be talking today only about Oko West, which is in the Northwest Guyana. And, but of course, you can see from the other tags several other deposits that exist or are still being mined in the region. A key factor on this region is infrastructure, or the lack of. You don't want to open hundreds of kilometers of road to the jungle in the Amazon. I mean, it's a very expensive process. So we are fortunate to be accessible by road. There's, if you can read it, it's called the Peruni Road, towards the south part, just south of that polygon where the project is. You can drive from Georgetown. It will be a very long day drive, but it's accessible by road, and we've been able to do all the work without helicopters and things like that, by moving fuel, food. People take the speedboat from Parika to Bartica, and then it'll be right now a 2-hour drive. So that's a key factor. Toroparo, this mine is being put to production to the west of us, and they're taking care of the rehabilitation of the Peruni Road, which is a good news for us. And so we will be able to move this project forward without major road building. We're looking at, it's early days, but we're looking at infrastructure like power. We have signed a contract with a company called InStream. It's a Canadian group using actually British technology to do run-of-river power generation. They'll start their study next month. We want to be able to deliver gold using a low carbon footprint, low cost if possible. And we're looking at alternatives. Of course, this is one alternative that would replace, several convoys of diesel-bearing trucks to the project. So that's an alternative that we need to look at it. Zooming in, that polygon, the black polygon, is the outline of the project. In Guyana, everything is staked. The only chance you have to access a prospect is to do a deal or an option agreement with somebody local, which has staked the area. And that's the case. And that polygon was composed of 11 small claims that all has been consolidated in one prospecting license to our name, which de-risks all this issue in terms of title, et cetera, et cetera. So we are the title holders in that polygon. What drove, attracted our attention to this area was the extensive alluvial workings that existed. And they're represented on this picture by the dark brown patches. If you look at the eastern part of the project area, you see some patches draining off a north-south boundary. And we could tell that this alluvial mining was being done on creeks draining a system which had not been explored. There's a ridge. The ridge marks the contact between granite, the pink, to the east, and volcanic and sedimentary rocks to the west. So we could tell this is a source area for the gold and the alluvium. And sure enough, we did a geochem grid, that is cutting lines every 200 meters, taking samples, soil samples every 50 meters, and that confirmed our interpretation and gave a very strong gold anomaly, which straddles that contact that goes for 6 kilometers. It's stronger on the north end, and that's what we have been focusing our work. We call the Kairuni zone after the Kairuni Creek draining it. Then we have 3.5 kilometers to the south. We call the Takutu zone after the Takutu Creek. So this is a basic approach to this part of the world. Look at your satellite images, see where the alluvial gold is, look at the source areas that you might have, and prospect those areas for the source of gold. And we certainly hit a jackpot here. Nobody had looked at that hill, and the anomaly, the alluvial, the soil samples confirm the presence of gold mineralization. Next step is to do trenching. That's fairly cheap and very quick. So we had a couple excavators, and we did again trench lines every 200 meters. That was in 2020 and 21. We didn't have much money at the time, so we had excellent trenching results. Like, for example, 70 meters, 6 grams. But that's very superficial. These trenches are only 2 meters deep. Then people keep asking, how do you know it continues at depth? How do you know it's not the head of a mushroom, etc.? Those are good questions, but we didn't have much money to drill. simple as that. So we scraped the bottom of the bank account, and we had money for 1,000 meters, which we drilled at the end of 2020 and January 21, and we demonstrated that this thing continued down to 100 meters into the rocks. That gave us enough lift, so we're able to do financing in May, June last year for $10 million, and that gave us enough money to start a proper drilling program. That's when we got 2 drill rigs that demonstrated, definitely that we have a good system. It has depth continuity, and we haven't stopped drilling since. And we just keep adding drill rigs. And as I said, now we have a capacity to drill 7,000 meters per month, and we want to deploy this capacity continuously going forward into the next few months. But you have to go stage by stage when you make a discovery. Look at those numbers. They speak for themselves in terms of grades and lengths. Either you multiply them by grade times width, whatever. These are very strong numbers, and they demonstrate that we are onto something substantial. This map shows the center of gravity in red. That's an area which is about 800 meters long. That arrow is 1 kilometer long, and demonstrates that this system continues north-south. We have a lot of room to grow. When you look at a section that's north-south section, we call a longitudinal section, we're looking west, you can see how the drilling looks like, and you can see how we are going from top to bottom. We already did a hole 112 of 575 meters, intersecting almost 4 grams over 70 meters. That demonstrate definitely that this system has good depth continuity, and it's just a matter of doing systematic drilling. We just announced last week 3 holes. Those are in the red points. How many minutes? That's it. Oh, I thought I had a bit more time, sorry. So to wrap the story, that's what the system looks like. You're talking about a band of sedimentary rocks is squeezed between 2 granites. These rocks were thoroughly deformed. If you look at this picture here, look at the intensity of veining. The more vein you have, the better gold. These rocks became porous and thoroughly mineralized, okay? So now it's a matter of doing systematic drilling. We have 2 more targets, Bryan Zone in the middle, another source area. We have barely started doing any work. The 3.5 kilometers to the south, continuation Taku 2. That's our continuing target, and we expect to drill those areas going forward. We're not just doing drilling. We're doing MET, we're doing power studies, we're doing geotech, we're doing environmental work. We want to be able to bring all those disciplines together, and by mid-next year have completed this work and announce resources, which we expect to be substantial. Thank you.